Hello Empowered students and welcome to this tutorial on how to download content from Empowered Canvas. As you know, Empowered Canvas is officially shutting down with all its content on September 1st, 2016, and some of you have shown a desire to capture some discussions, your assignments, or even whole courses, but the question is how to do that in an efficient way. Unfortunately, there is no one-touch button that allows you to download everything from Canvas. But don't worry, I'm going to show you a very simple technique that you can use to capture your content, and so I hope you will find this helpful. Now, the process we are going to use is turning what we see on the computer in our Windows screen into PDFs. It's a very simple technique. I do insist that you use Chrome, so if you don't have the Chrome browser, you can go to google.com, download the Chrome browser there. It's free. And I like to use Chrome because it allows us to change pages into PDFs in a very, very easy way. So, for example, if we wanted to capture this screen here, or even, I'll do it even better. Let's say we're in Empowered right now, and we go into grades, and we want to take just capture this list of all the courses that we've taken and kind of the grades that we've or percentages we've gotten from those courses. We would basically make this shot into a PDF, and to do that we would first go to the hamburger menu on the upper right hand. We would hit print. It would bring up a print dialog box, and as you can see in the destination, I want to save it as a PDF. Now on your computer it will probably be saved to your printer settings. So to change that, we would just hit change, and then we would select save as PDF. So as long as that's here, that's perfect. As we can see, we have everything here. Now sometimes what I like to do as well, let's say that this list was way more extensive. It was to where we were scrolling up and down the page. We want to make sure we capture everything, so I like to actually hit Apple A or Control A on PCs, and then go to print, and then we would say save as PDF, that's good, and save it here. It would then bring us a question of like, well, where in your computer would you like to save it? We would save it as grades or whatever we'd like to, and then we would hit save. So that's it. That's really all we're going to do. There are some areas such as the inbox in Canvas which we can't use that setting. Now, as you imagine, for those who are like, yeah, but I want to do this for the whole course, it's a lot of PDFs, it's going to be very confusing. The secret to that then would be organization. And what I've done is in the email that I've sent you, there is a link to Box, and it's called coursetitles.zip. You would click on this, you would download it, it'll download in the bottom left, and then you can just drag it onto your desktop or open it, which I've done so over here. And you notice that when you double click on it, it opens a folder called course title. So this is a structure that I put together myself. You can use it or edit it, do whatever you like to it. And the purpose behind this is for you to kind of go ahead and make a new folder. I just right-clicked on the desktop, click new folder, and let's just call this Empowered Content. Okay. So each of these course title folders represents basically a course. So if we were to open that, let's say we were taking an empowered course, we'll call it Algebra 1. Okay, so, and we wanted to copy that course. We would basically create that and we would stick it in the folder, and let's say we also, I just went ahead and double clicked on the zip, or you can copy the folder and then paste it again and retitle it. And let's just call it Algebra 2. Okay, so the idea is that you would have a folder labeled Empowered Content, and inside you would have these folders that I created with the structure in each of them. and you would follow that structure. So for example, this was originally course title. This is the first one. We renamed it to Algebra 1. If we open that, we see that we have a bunch of different folders. This is the structure I was talking about. I kind of modeled it after the modules, kind of like when you go into Canvas, you have access to your inbox, you have access to people, your submission assignments. In the module section, it's all kind of organized by week, so I went ahead and made folders for each week. And for home, I just, that's where I put things like announcements. This is a PDF of what the modules look like when you see that full module review of all the weeks. I also put in the instructor bio, so I knew that Pam Walker was the instructor for that. And then also I made a PDF of the syllabus. So this is kind of like the top core of it. And as you can see in announcements, it's a folder of its own because there was more than one announcement. So basically the first one was an overview of announcements. I captured, there were 2 announcements posted in the whole course, so that kind of lists them there. So I can say, okay, so during that whole time, this is what the teacher posted during that time, and these are the actual dates. And then I went ahead and captured PDFs of the actual announcements themselves. For example, CEP organization webinars, and that's related to this one. So this is the post on November 13th. So you get the idea here. So it's kind of just using that very simple technique of creating these PDFs and then plugging them into the correct folders so that it's not a pain when you want to review a course and see what the materials are. So let's go ahead and get into Canvas and try it out. Now, I want you to keep in mind that some of you have been students for a while. So some of your courses might not have had the same module structure that the more current classes have. For example, I believe, here we go. On the left-hand side, you see you have home, announcements, people, discussions, and assignments, whereas a more current course will have, let's see here. Let's go to a more current course. We'll have home, announcements, syllabus, modules, grades, people. So you can see the difference. This is what most of us are used to. So we have kind of the breakdown of all the modules of each course into weeks. So each section of these modules represents a folder. So this is week 3. So you would click on each one, make it into a PDF, and save it into the week 3 folder that I've created. And there's 10 weeks in this one. Whereas in an older structure, there isn't a module section. So everything would live in what we call assignments. So, and it looks like this one's plugged into by activity. So you can see it's not as pretty as like the module setup, but it's basically the same idea of what you can choose of like, okay, well, I really like activity number 10, so I'm just going to copy that, and maybe 12 or etc. So there's no real difference. It's just kind of a visual difference between working with assignments or working with modules. And then also, you'll notice in PDF form, there'll be a change in kind of structure. For example, in modules, if we were to create a PDF, we obviously want the whole module set up, so we will Apple A or Control A, make sure everything's highlighted. Okay, we'll go to print. And you'll notice in the preview that, it's going to look different. This is another reason why I like Chrome, because it'll still keep the icons, whether it's an assignment like here or discussion here, which is kind of nice because it's not necessarily as pretty as what Canvas says, but, it gives you the same principle. It's kind of more like dressed down. And then we would just, let's see here, save. Make sure it's saved as a PDF, save. And then here, we'll go ahead and save it in our structure. For example, we decided to call it empowered content. Let's pretend that this is course Algebra 1. We would go into home, and it says right up here, the business of education, consulting, and I think it says course modules on the top. So it's kind of titled perfectly, so I don't really need anything else. So I'm just going to say, yeah, save that. And that's it. Done. So then we can go back into Empowered 1, Algebra 1, Home, and it's going to be right here. Course modules. And the whole thing is here, which is great. It's easy, accessible, done. Now, something more complicated, we'll do an example of like announcements. So there's 3 here. So I want to go ahead and just kind of create a directory for myself. That's what I call an overview. I Controlled A, copied A. It's all here. I want to go ahead, save as a PDF, save. And this time I'm going to do announcements, and I'm going to add the word overview so that I know, okay, that was kind of the directory. And I'll save it in announcements, done. And then when I want to say, okay, let's go into each individual one, or maybe I only want this one because this one has a reading, this one's relevant, worth keeping, I suppose, then I'll do the same thing. I'll Control A. I will print, save as PDF. I will save, and it'll already say what the topic is, which is great, and I will save it there. Let's take a look at what that looks like. Algebra 1, Home. I am in Announcements. This was our overview here of that. And then we wanted the topic to be Additional Business here so that we can see in our directory, oh yeah, that's the one that I want here, Additional Business Reading, Additional Business Reading. And this one's actually kind of nice. It still has like the picture and the breakdown of it, so it's nice and clean. So that's an example of copying down the syllabus announcements. Let's do people. Let's say that there are people in your course that you're really connected with, or you wanted to keep their information, etc., or their background. Now Grace doesn't have a bio, but let's say she did, and we're like, yeah, I want to keep that, so I remember what this person looked like, and then I met them there. Once again, Control A, or Apple A, print, and then save as PDF. We're going to go ahead and save, and this time we're going to save it under the people folder. And then it says her name, and it also says, interestingly enough, the course, which is great. So we'll save. Done. So you kind of just pick and choose what you want, and then you plug it into the folder. There it is right here. And it just becomes like this little library of organized PDFs, which is kind of nice. Now, I do want to point out, I do have a folder just for submissions, and it's kind of like, okay, that's great. I don't really care to like, download all the content. I just want to do submissions. A very easy way to do that is to just go into, let's see here, grades. Now this will give you an overview of all the courses that you've taken and kind of the grades that you got. And let's say, you're like, okay, I did really well in this one. I want to go ahead from this course, Counseling the College-Bound Student. I want to save all of those. So then it'll bring you to everything that you've submitted, just this nice list here. And let's say I wanted to do, let's see, there's some graded discussions in here. So let's say I want this discussion. It'll also include, like, if the teacher had written some comments on the right-hand side. We're just going to do the same thing. We're going to Apple A. Actually, we're going to make sure we're clicked outside of this box. So you see how everything is saved now. So if there were comments, as long as it's highlighted in blue, it's going to get captured, which is great. We're then going to go again to hamburger menu, print, save as PDF, save. This is a discussion. Let's say this discussion, let's see, it's week 1, discussion 3. So we'll go to week 1. It's already titled discussion 3. Great. Save it there. Done. So we'll go into Algebra 1, we'll go into week 1, and there it is, week 1 discussion. So now you'll also notice, this is interesting, that this is kind of cut off here. So we can do that better. Let's say you get into that situation. It's always good to check and see, because according to this, it seemed like it was doing really well. So if we clicked inside this box, highlighted it, let's see if that did the trick. Now we get everything, and that's what we want. So you might want to do this, and then if there are some, and I'm wondering, I'm just going to look real quick, because let's say you're like, but I want the, yeah, see, it does cut it off, so there's that preview there. So it looks like you'll have to do, for example, if there were comments that you valued, you'll have to do one copy of it will be just the discussion, and then the other copy will have to be the comments here, which then you would just highlight this, for example. If there was a comment there, we would print, and I think it would just pop up. It looks like it tried to go ahead and went ahead and tried to capture the site as well. But you'll be able to capture, the point is that you'll be able to capture all of the comments without cutting off this. And what I would do then as well is save this as week 1 discussion 3, and I would put maybe in all cap comments if that's something that you want to keep, and then you would just save it there. I like to now go and cover the inbox, because that's the only area, again, that you cannot use the print to PDF option. You'll just get cut off words. So if you go in your inbox, you'll see these are all your messages. And let's say I really liked what Kevin and I were talking about. I'm going to bring that up by clicking on it. As you can see, there's quite a lot going on here. So I would just highlight all this. I would Control C or Control Copy, and I would open your Word doc or Pages, and I would Control V, which would paste this discussion. This is the only way to keep email threads, okay? And you'll still get like the submission when, etc. with all the notes, and then you can just save that Word document under your inbox, and you can title it. We can just say Kevin Collins. Okay. And then we'll save that. And then again, that will be in Algebra 1. And you know, the inbox is really not course specific. So you actually might want to, in your normal Empowered folder, which contains all of the courses, you might just want to bring the inbox down into here. Just drag it down into here. So in the inbox is like, hey, these are all the messages for all the courses. That would probably make more sense. I think that covers everything. If you have any questions, if you have any problems with this, please let me know. Dale Steinbacher and I are here for you. We know that this is not necessarily ideal, but it is kind of trying to do the best that we can do for each situation. I do want to mention another thing is that all of when you make a PDF, all the links actually work really well. So they'll still be linked. As long as it's not a link to another assignment in Canvas, you'll have access to it, such as if someone puts a website link, a YouTube link, or there's videos, you just download those videos and save it into the proper folder under the proper week. But let's say there's a video in there. Let's see if there's something on here that we can grab. Aha, so we have this video here, and there's no download option because it's a link. How do we get that link? Is go to this little chemistry button looking. It looks kind of like a molecule, like an arrow pointing to the left. It says share. We'll just click on it so that the URL shows, and then we'll Control A. We'll go to print, and then we'll save it. Beautiful. Works out. That's awesome. Okay. So once again, you can print a PDF on any of these pages, whether it's a video, a link, a discussion, just content, announcements, bios, grades, anything. All you have to do is, make sure that it's all highlighted, Control A, go to your hamburger button, click print, save as PDF, and then save it somewhere that makes sense to you, whether it's in my file structure that I created or something of your own. And the only thing that you cannot do that with are inbox messages. You have to actually click on the thread that you want. You have to go in, highlight all of it, copy it, open it in some kind of Word document, and paste it there. Okay? And like I said, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you with this process. I'm trying to make this really easy, and thank you so much for your patience and your efforts with Empowered. We really appreciate it, and we hope that you've gotten as much as you can out of the program. Good luck with everything, and thank you for joining me.